Hello all and welcome to Kraos Gaming. I'm going to be doing a review of Rain of Bullets from Critical Bit Studios. So Rain of Bullets is a side-scrolling shooter that, as you can see from the intro there, does not take itself too seriously. It does add a healthy dose of humor into its plot, such as it is. The plot really doesn't get any deeper than what you saw there. The main protagonist has had his garage destroyed to make way for a highway, and he is out to file a grievance with the company that built the highway. In the process, he's impeded by representatives from the company, both in the sense of individual enemies, as you see here, and in the sense of various bosses. The progression of the game is to go through 10 levels in each of the zones, and I will show the zone selection at a later time. But you go through 10 levels for each of the zones, and there's a mid-boss for each zone at the end of the 5th level, and the 10th level for each zone is a boss. As you complete each zone, you're given a rating regarding how well you did based on the health you have remaining, the kills that you completed of enemies, and how much scrap you collected. Scrap being like a combination of currency and experience. And then you'll receive upgrades such as new weapons that you can use or new bonuses that you can apply to your weapons. So from there, you can drop back to the hangar and you can add weapons or upgrades to your ship. So in this, each weapon has different ratings, damage, fire rate, range, projectiles, and there are weapon modifications that you can apply that impact each of these different things. I'll get into that here shortly, but you can select that you want to increase that aspect of the weapon. You can then mount the weapon anywhere you want to on your ship, with some restrictions such as you can't mount on the view screen, which makes sense, and you cannot mount on the engine, which also makes sense. But other than that, it's pretty much just a matter of how you want to do it, and then your weapon can be mounted at any angle. There are times where there will be things below, above, or behind you, and it can be worthwhile to mount your weapon differently based on what level you're in. Also, you can remount a gun or dismount a gun at any point. At any time in your garage. There's no cost to mounting or dismounting a gun. The only cost is to applying an upgrade. So for example, if I wanted to apply damage, it would cost 40 scrap to do that for this weapon. The other thing is you have different upgrades that you can apply to your weapon, to your ship. You have an auto gun upgrade, which you can use to increase the damage of the base gun that you saw. Weapon slots, so that you can add more weapons. Right now I have one of one. Luck, which increases the chance of finding better weapons. I'll explain that in a second. Hit points, which is how much damage your ship can absorb. And then shield duration, which the shield gives you temporary immunity. So after you've modified your ship, you can jump into the next level. And then you'll be using the new guns that you've gotten as you proceed. And then, as you can see, based on where you place your gun, it will impact how it fires, and well, not how it fires, but where it is. So if you want to separate out the type of weapon that you have, So I'm keeping my base bullets separate from my blaster so that you can tell hopefully tell the difference between them. Not necessarily, but... And then... So that was the shield, that fist that you saw there, wrap around the ship. So I'm going to end here and switch profiles so that I can discuss some of the other components of the game. So here you can see in my inventory that there are a number of different gun types. You've got blasters, and also demonstrated, let me see if I can scroll down a bit, get them all on the same screen. Blue, come on. Okay, so, no I can't, but you have different quality weapons. You've got gray quality, which is your basic. You've got green quality, which is the next level. Blue comes after that, and then purple is the highest quality. Purple are actually unique, and a purple weapon has a unique skin to it. So this is the unique rocket launcher. This is what the unique one looks like, and that missile launcher, excuse me, and then this is what the base missile launcher looks like. There is not a unique skin for every weapon. Lasers, drone swarmers, energy blasters, rocket launchers, the flamethrowers, and one other one called the acid spitter. They are the ones that have unique weapons. So a basic weapon usually will have either just base damage or it might have a slight benefit. However, a next quality weapon will have your same base damage usually, as well as upgrades, existing upgrades to some of the different options that exist for weapon mods. And then a high quality weapon will have much more pre-existing applied items. So if I were to example, let's see if I can find a weapon without any upgrades in it. That ought to be possible. So the laser, for example, so I'm not going to go through each of the weapons, but damage is pretty straightforward. The laser, it increases the amount of damage it does the longer it fires. Fire rate is how long it takes before it starts another set of blasts. Range is how far the laser reaches. Projectiles, number of beams, speed, so on and so forth. So the laser's targeting, it'll actually rotate the laser where it's shooting on the ship. Piercing is whether or not the laser will pass through enemies and be able to hit multiple enemies. Splitting and special. So here, the special of the laser is damage multiplier over time. If we look at the yellow jacket, the special is the number of shots fired per drone. Lightning gun, the special is a chance to jam the enemy's weapons. Missile launcher special is explosion radius. I think the blaster also has an AoE. Yep. Energy blade special is how fast the blade moves away from your ship. The energy blades are boomerangs. Basically, they fire out and then come back, so they slow down when they're on an enemy so that they do more damage, because they do damage for the duration of time that they're in contact with the enemy. And then the acid spitter special is the chance that there's how much damage the sticky blob does. I don't have... Oh, I do have a flamethrower. So the flamethrower special is how much damage the damage over time that the flamethrower applies does. So there are 4 different zones. You've got Corn Country. The zones basically function as backgrounds, and they'll determine what kind of enemies you'll see. So you've got Corn Country, Loco Sands. In Loco Sands, there's a train that's running underneath you, and the train has various weapons mounted on it. In High Tide, it's what it sounds like. There's water in the background. There are different boats. Titan Corporation is an industrial complex, so there are things like guns mounted to the roof and ceiling that move along rails. There are different, things of that type. And then you get into survival mode, where every 5 levels there is a boss that you have to fight to be able to reach a milestone. And then as you fight different bosses and progress, you get different milestones. There are also different difficulty levels. The difficulty levels impact luck, scrap, enemy health and enemy damage, increasing each of them. So as you play at higher difficulties, the weapons that drop actually reflect the different the weapons that drop in the higher difficulty levels are actually higher level. In the lower difficulty levels, the weapons that you receive are the same level as the level that you're fighting in, whereas in higher difficulties they are higher level than the things that you were fighting in. So I'm going to show a boss level just for the sake of having something to talk about. Now, because my weapons have come from the 50s, this is going to be a very short fight because they don't scale. I could have selected a higher difficulty. Now, for bosses, they don't take damage until they hit a certain point, and each boss has, oops, I should pay attention to what's going on around me. Each boss has stages. That was not a good example of a boss with stages, so I apologize for that. I got an A. Oh, there is a unique zapper. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Alright, I got an A on that, but I'm going to switch back over here. We'll show you the boss for Titan Corporation, because there's actually a chance that I'm not going to be able to beat this boss. But the bosses each have stages, and when you're fighting them with weapons of the appropriate level, the stages tend to last a fairly, not a fairly long time, but a decent amount of time. And the bosses are your standard side-scrolling shooter fare, where they're a combination of having to do good flying and decent damage placed at the correct point. So, as you progress, different things occur. So now we'll see the third stage coming. Now, one of the nice things in the game is and I don't know if you noticed it, but the shots of enemies have an orange, yellow, and red base color scheme, whereas your attacks have a blue base color scheme. And that makes it, the orange base color scheme versus the blue base color scheme, makes it fairly easy to tell the difference between enemy shots and your own shots, because you can get quite a lot going on screen at the same time, and that can make it difficult to tell whether or not you're getting shot at otherwise. But the way they've designed it, with the different color schemes, it's fairly clear what's a shot from an opponent and what's a shot from you. The other advantage to that being, or the other thing they've done in that regard, is enemy shots sit on top. Let me see if, hold on, wipe these guys out. See if I can get some, this guy will, here we go. So as some shots fire, so their shots are on top, so that I cannot get the shots of the opponent to hide behind my own shots, which is very beneficial. It makes the game a whole lot easier to tell what's going on, because it can get very distracting when you have a lot of things firing in the air, but you can usually tell where the enemy's energy weapons are, which is beneficial. Overall, the game is really entertaining, I would say. Replay value primarily comes from trying different weapon types and from the different difficulties. Now, one of the things about the difficulties is when you start a new difficulty, you do not start over. You can keep your current weapons loadout and the like, and just play old levels at a higher difficulty. That's actually kind of nice, in that you don't have to start over. It does somewhat trivialize the higher difficulty at the lower levels, because you can get through the full game before you even start playing the higher difficulties and have upgraded weapons and an upgraded ship before you even start. Otherwise, though, it's, like I said, fairly entertaining. It is unique in my experience. Granted, I don't play a lot of side-scrolling shooters in general, but the notion of weapon upgrades and different types of weapons and just the lighter attitude of the game, I think, is a lot in its favor. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think it'd be worth checking out if it were something you were interested in. So, thanks all.